Did you happen to see the latest video on YouTube by Mr. Beast? My kids love Mr. Beast, so it was hard to miss his most recent viral video. But the 24-year-old YouTuber, yes, he's only 24, he got a lot of attention over the weekend. In short, he personally paid for cataract removal surgery for 1,000 people. 1,000 people who were blind or near blind, but simply just could not afford the surgery. I'm going to be honest. It pulled all of my heartstrings. It was impossible, at least for me, to not well up with tears watching this. The dramatic change in the person's face as the bandages were removed and they stared, literally, in disbelief. I'm not going to lie. I was crying. And I'm okay saying that. I have a feeling I wasn't alone. Crying. How often are you moved by art, by inspiration, by someone's hopes being lifted, or by a song that never goes off repeat, or maybe a book that you've just read over and over and over? Emotional depth is part of being human. Some things really strike a chord in all of us, and that's usually because they speak to something that you feel. That feeling being sensitivity. Showing empathy or getting emotional during movies or connecting deeply to a song are all pretty unique traits. And if that's you, then you're likely what psychologists call a highly sensitive person, according to the experts. But whether you're an introvert or perhaps just more sensitive than most, you might feel like it's up to you to keep your personality traits kind of on the down low. No one likes feeling exposed or embarrassed or weak even. But here's a refreshing twist. You can be emotionally sensitive and confident about who you are. You can. You can embrace your gentle side, your unique way of interacting with others. You can allow yourself the moments of quietness that come with being an introvert. And guess what? It's okay not to have a movie quote ready for every situation. Instead of hiding those qualities, own them, love them, appreciate them, recognize that they help make you who you are. Being sensitive is often seen as this undesirable trait, but I think it's underrated. You see, sensitivity allows for stronger appreciation and understanding of the world around us. So why is it? Why does being sensitive usually mean being soft? Or that crying is for cowards, or feelings are for failures? Well, let's dive in and find out. I'm Chad Lawson, and let's calm it down in 3, 2, 1. Being sensitive seems to carry an outdated connotation. Society has long viewed sensitivity as a sign of vulnerability, creating this huge divide between those who show emotion and those who don't. This idea is both misguided and damaging, yet it remains deeply embedded in our culture. Being sensitive doesn't mean you're a softie. It just means you have a heightened awareness to the world around you. I'm going to say that again. Being sensitive doesn't mean that you are a softie. It just means you have a heightened awareness to the world around you. It means your senses are more in tune than others. You pick up on subtle nuances in people or things that others may miss. And while sensitivity may have a bad reputation, it's an important and underrated trait. It provides you with the ability to appreciate and understand people. It allows you to be aware of the subtleties in life, the way that something gentle can produce an impact bigger than something loud, or how two individuals in two different cultures, how they may interpret a phrase differently, how silence and stillness can sometimes convey more emotion than words. We're more inclined to observe our surroundings and pick up on clues when we are sensitive, clues that can help inform our actions, whether they be positive or negative. And when we take into consideration the thoughts, and feelings of the people that surround us, friends, family, strangers even. Whatever choices we make will usually tend to serve them well, right? I mean, have you ever found yourself uncontrollably crying during a movie? Don't be embarrassed. It's okay. You may have heard the phrase emotional intelligence floating around, and that applies here. It's your brain connecting with the characters on an emotional level. When we pause and look within or outward to acknowledge another person's emotions, it takes tremendous poise and understanding. It's something that many of us don't take the time to do fully, but when we do, it offers remarkable insight into who we are as individuals. To recognize someone else's emotions or respond to our own, the level of understanding, it's no easy task. It requires a great amount of self-awareness, some resilience, some courage. Did you hear those 3 words? Self-awareness, resilience, courage. Qualities often attributed to some of the strongest people in the world, right? It speaks volumes about one's character and promotes compassionate interactions between all members of society. Being able to emotionally attune oneself, not just for yourself, but for others too. This is really an admirable quality. This is where sensitivity and strength are at their truest forms. Being sensitive doesn't mean you're a softie. It just means you have a heightened awareness to the world around you. And this heightened awareness sometimes equates to empathy. Believe it or not, empathy is not something that occurs naturally. For a long time, I thought of empathy as having a certain gut feeling, although I was misguided in thinking this. Research has showed me that empathy wasn't as straightforward and inexplicable as I may have imagined originally. More and more, I'm beginning to learn that understanding and connecting with people is much more complicated than simply taking a stroll in their shoes, so to speak. So, to truly understand where someone else is coming from, it's important to stay patient, emotionally attentive, and, this is a hard one, open. Yeah. Being aware of what someone needs requires you to break the boundaries of your own interpretation of the situation. I'm going to say that one again. That's a big one. Being aware of what somebody needs requires you to break the boundaries of your own interpretation of the situation. Even if it doesn't fit with your ultimate goal or makes sense from your standpoint, sometimes one step back can yield 2 steps forward for that other person. And a lot of that comes with communication and being open. Communication is like a garden where careful cultivation is necessary in order for it to grow. Applying thoughtfulness to the words that we use, this helps us get closer to the harmony that we desire with somebody else. And through this conscious effort, when we consider other people's points of view before we react or exchange ideas tactfully and take time to really listen, then that's when real progress can be made in conversations. Are these conversations easy? No, of course not. But they can certainly be rewarding if we approach them from an open-hearted place. So, at its core, sensitizing our emotions can bring about remarkable conversations that connect us, even during unsure times. Now, to look at the other side of the coin with this, of course, it's not always easy to move through life this way. That's something I'm very empathetic to. Have you ever felt like a sponge? You're just absorbing all of the emotions around you. It could be that your friends and family members know they can come to you with their problems and feelings, as it's wonderful to have someone to turn to. But if it gets too overwhelming at times, remember that it's totally okay for you to give yourself some space, because your emotions and mental state, they're just as important. And if the weight of the world feels too heavy on your shoulders from time to time, Give yourself permission to take some breaths and a much needed break. Find ways to have this pause. Find ways to find joy in the things that do make you cry. Be it that movie, be it that song, be it creating art, be it doing pottery, be it volunteering at a public library. You can be creative and allow this to be an outlet for your feelings, and then rejuvenate, and then come back and be the sensitive person for them as well. There are many, many ways to express your own creative needs, your own sensitive needs with what you put your hands towards. Life is full of emotions, and we're expected to experience them in a positive yet valid way. From the joy of meeting a new love to the overwhelming grief when we say goodbye. These potential intense feelings should not be hidden, but celebrated as moments of growth on the journey through life. If we normalize the idea that emotions are real and that emotions are valuable, we can create a shared acknowledgement and better understanding of our emotions, of our sensitivities. Coming into a space where everyone's feelings are honored and understood can bring us closer together. And that sensitivity is the strongest thing we could ever hope for. To find more episodes of Calm It Down, or to see concert dates where I may be performing in your area, or to simply know where to send some chocolate chip cookies, visit calmitdownpodcast.com. This podcast was produced by yours truly, Chad Lawson, composer, pianist, and nationally recognized sweet tooth. Now, something my attorney would like me to say. The views, expressions, and techniques in this episode are of my personal opinion and not intended to, nor should they, serve as a substitute for medical advice or diagnosis rendered to you by your individual doctor or other healthcare provider. Only a licensed physician should evaluate your situation, provide a diagnosis, or render other medical advice to you, and you should act only upon the advice of this physician. Now, what I would like to say, I'm an extreme empath by nature, but my profession is that of a composer and pianist, not a licensed therapist or a physician. I hear from thousands of listeners how my music has helped them through various stages of emotional needs, and I simply want to offer this and future podcast episodes to aid those needs. To find a list of licensed professionals in your area, please visit calmitdownpodcast.com. And then finally, to help keep this podcast continuing each week and without ads, would you please consider pitching in $2 or $3 a month? Your $2 or $3 a month will go a long way in supporting the time, the additional people, and content that you hear each week. If you would, please visit calmitdownpodcast.com, look for the white coffee cup with a cute little red heart in the center, or you can scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page to find a QR code that will take you there directly. Again, just $2 or $3 a month would be amazing. Thank you. I'm Chad Lawson, and until next time, be kind to your mind. And join me next week as we calm it down.